I can remember back when I first started my YouTube channel. And I really didn't know what I wanted to do as far as content. I was mixing gaming content, preferably Call of Duty. During the Modern Warfare 3 era, I was mixing gameplay with commentaries about WWE. I would review Monday Night Raw over gameplay of Call of Duty. And then I obviously got into the whole YouTube rhythm, got myself a camera, put myself in front of the camera, got myself a microphone, and in the most scared, timid, and nasally voice, nothing powerful like it is now, I reviewed WWE. And over the years, I've grown, and over the years, I've gotten a little bit more comfortable, and over the years, I honestly came to a point where I didn't give a shit about what I say here. But I remember one of the first commentaries I ever did was why WWE should bring back the King of the Ring. I don't know why the King of the Ring never went away. I really don't. I've asked people who I know within the community, people that I've hung out with who do the same thing as me, I've asked, and the only answer that I've ever received was Vince McMahon doesn't like tournaments. Well, too fucking bad. Too fucking bad. Vince McMahon seems to not like a lot of things nowadays. But the King of the Ring was never brought back, and that was the reason I was given. Vince McMahon doesn't like tournaments. But here we are in 2018, and Triple H loves tournaments. We've seen a Cruiserweight Classic. We've seen 2 UK tournaments. We've seen 2 Mae Young Classics now, with this year's being fucking fantastic. I don't know why WWE doesn't utilize tournaments on the main roster to its full potential. We see these little mini series of matches where they'll pit a bunch of superstars in a random triple threat match, and then that same triple threat match will feature another set of superstars, and the winner of both of those matches end up in the main event on the next week's show, and then, boom, we got a number 1 contender. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. The King of the Ring was vital. It was vital. It actually was so vital that it became one of WWE's Big 5 in the mid-90s. Outside of the Rumble, outside of Mania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, right in the middle of everything was the King of the Ring. The 1993 version of the King of the Ring is still one of my all-time favorite pay-per-views ever. Ever. I love that show from top to bottom. It wasn't a perfect show, but the crowd, the energy, the feel, the whole tournament, the story that was told within that tournament with Bret the Hitman Hart, Bobby the Brain Heenan was absolutely on top of his game. I loved Jim Ross and Macho Man's dynamic, even though or Macho Man and Bobby Heenan's dynamic, rather, with Jim Ross right in the middle. Old school Jim Ross, giving you great commentary behind the mic, even though some people didn't like Macho Man being there at the commentary table. I loved it. I loved it. Mr. Perfect and Bret Hart had their best match ever. Almost 25 minutes of a classic, which was probably the best match, not only between the two, but the best match of the entire year for 1993. I always go back to Lex Luger, the Narcissist, versus the Native American Tatanka in the first round of that tournament, which actually, the end decision of that match ended up being a draw, which by default put Bam Bam Bigelow in the finals of the tournament, and the story surrounding that was Bret had to go through Razor, right? His hands and his fingers were busted up. And let me mute this because I got people texting me in the middle of recording. I usually have it off. I apologize. Bret the Hitman Hart was in the first match of the show against Razor Ramon. Busted up fingers. Razor stomped on his hands. Then he had to battle Mr. Perfect in the second round. And you know how physical that match is. Perfect exposed the fingers. I believe Bret Hart actually flew off the apron. Mr. Perfect shoved him off the apron so hard that he landed against the steel barricade, busted up ribs. And then he had to go into the finals all banged up, already wrestled Razor and Mr. Perfect has to go up against Bam Bam Bigelow in the finals, and you know Bigelow exposed all of what Bret Hart was going through that night, and Bret ended up winning with a victory roll off the top rope, off of Bigelow's shoulders, rolled him up 1, 2, 3, and he won the King of the Ring, and then he got his ass kicked by Jerry the King Lawler at the end of the show, where Lawler stepped on the crown and broke the scepter, and Mean Gene Okerlund was standing there just beside himself, shocked at what was happening to close the 1993 King of the Ring. That was my favorite King of the Ring ever. And normally when someone wins the King of the Ring, they are obviously the number one contender for the WWE Championship. Obviously, that did not happen that year. Hogan didn't want to fight Bret Hart at SummerSlam because he would have rather dropped the title against a more believable Yokozuna. He thought Bret Hart was not legit enough to beat Hulk Hogan. Now, there may have been internal politics with that. The reason why the King of the Ring was brought to the Big Five, or brought to the WWE pay-per-view calendar and made into one of the Big Five, was because they needed to give Bret Hart something after the fucking disaster that was WrestleMania 9. So on and so forth. I could sit here and talk about how I love this show for the entirety of this podcast, but the King of the Ring is supposed to be a tournament in which it crowns the number one contender. Obviously, if you have it in the middle of the pay-per-view calendar, the winner of that tournament should automatically be the number one contender for whichever champion you choose. Whether you come from Raw, you're the number one contender for the Universal Championship, or on SmackDown, you're the number one contender for the WWE Championship. I don't know why WWE doesn't give themselves an easy out here and books an entire tournament in one night. An 8-man tournament. And you have qualifying matches. You have qualifying matches on Raw and SmackDown, which by default will make those shows watchable because you want to see and how certain individuals make it into the tournament. I don't understand why WWE doesn't bring back the men's King of the Ring. You're probably wondering why I'm raising my voice and why I'm getting so animated over the King of the Ring. Well, news broke. It's Thursday. It's Thursday. You guys will obviously see this on Friday. News broke this morning that WWE is possibly thinking about bringing back the King of the Ring tournament, but not for the men. They want to give you a Queen of the Ring in 2019. I ask you why. I ask you why. The women have a tournament already. It's called the Mae Young Classic. Many of those women get signed by the WWE after the fact. Many of those women use that tournament as a catapult to a WWE career. Relative unknowns that I don't know of who come into the WWE, and they're showcased to us for the first time. It literally has everything you love about a tournament. Now you want to give me, on top of the Mae Young Classic, a Queen of the Ring? I don't understand why the women need that when the men have so desperately needed it for a very long time. WWE reportedly considering Queen of the Ring tournament in 2019. We already have tournaments lined up for 2019. Probably another Mae Young Classic. I don't see why not. They've done it for the last 2 years. I would absolutely love to see another Cruiserweight Classic. I would love to see another Cruiserweight Classic. I hope WWE has one of those lined up. I would love to see a tag team tournament. I would love the WWE to turn the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic into not only an NXT staple, but I would love to see it on a grander worldwide scale, paying homage to Dusty, meanwhile getting tag team wrestling in WWE back to where it needs to be. That's what I would love to see. But WWE is considering bringing back the Queen of the Ring, and the WWE hasn't held a King of the Ring tournament in a very long time, like I mentioned, but the idea could be back and given to the women's division this time around. The Wrestling Observer newsletter reports WWE is discussing the idea of holding a Queen of the Ring tournament sometime in 2019. This would be a main roster tournament and could be the theme of a much bigger idea. The current notion is to wrap a possible Queen of the Ring tournament around another all-women's pay-per-view event. This would make the second female-exclusive WWE Network special following Evolution if they end up using this idea. It was noted that WWE wants to do at least one all-female pay-per-view per year. It should be kept in mind that the Queen of the Ring tournament is just an idea at this point that WWE is kicking around, but it's reportedly a possibility as they look for new ideas for a second all-female pay-per-view. Why don't you just build off the first one that you gave us? Why do you need to add another one to the pay-per-view calendar? Evolution was half-assed at best. And I got people telling me it's one of the best shows of the year. Why? Because of Charlotte and Becky Lynch. That's why. Other than that, what else was on that show? I love Toni Storm and Io Shirai, but they were given 9 minutes. Might have been a good match, but severely handcuffed on what those two women could really do in a WWE ring for a match of that magnitude. Evolution was not a success. It was something that had zero expectation, and then obviously with a 30-minute classic between Becky and Charlotte, that's why people jumped all over it. Nikki Bella and Ronda Rousey in the main event. I hardly consider that a fucking success. WWE had something special, and they put nothing into it. Nothing. Now, I understand about celebrating women's wrestling, but that doesn't mean you gotta dip into the fucking nostalgia well and bring back people who really don't have any business being in a ring. Maybe you should concentrate on who you have on the roster right now and build towards the future instead of looking towards the back at the past. Can't do that. Queen of the Ring is absolutely unnecessary. Unnecessary. You got Evolution. You got a whole pay-per-view built around the fucking agenda that you so conveniently push every fucking week. You don't need to take a concept that the men need that would make the men's roster that much more easier to digest and give opportunity to men who otherwise have not seen it at all. At all. It would fit perfectly right in the middle of the pay-per-view calendar. I can't begin to tell you how this would be easy on WWE Creative. We all talked about the Survivor Series and how WWE wanted to change the theme or the formula of the Survivor Series that they've done for the past 2 years, Raw versus SmackDown. It all began with a rumor that Vince didn't want Roman Reigns, when healthy, as the Universal Champion going up against WWE Champion AJ Styles for whatever reason. And that the theme of that show was going to go away. And I said, well, we got 3 weeks of build coming out of Evolution, or Crown Jewel rather. Both of them, because they both happen 5 days apart from one another. 3 weeks of build for the Survivor Series. WWE has no choice but to make things easier on themselves and book matches between champions on each show. It's going to make for a good pay-per-view, and it ended up being one of the better pay-per-views of the entire year, outside of the little blemish that WWE did with the pre-show not counting, and then Raw beating SmackDown 6-0. Outside of that, we got 2 WrestleMania caliber matches, and they both delivered. So it was a thumbs-up show based on that aspect alone. This would follow the same theme for WWE Creative to make their jobs easier. Not only that, you would find the number 1 contender for whichever champion at SummerSlam, and by default for the entire month and a half of Raw and SmackDown, you could make the shows mean something. You're giving people a reason to watch the show if you make the tournament that much more important and you make it feel like it needs to be felt with great importance. Number 1 contendership on the line. Whichever brand wins the tournament gets to challenge that brand's champion in the main event of SummerSlam. Haven't we all wanted Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live to have some fucking direction, some meaning? Have these matches mean something instead of giving me fucking random garbage every fucking week? Do you know what a King of the Ring tournament would do for a guy like Andrade Cien Almas? Or by the time we're talking about this next year, Aleister Black, if he's on the main roster, or a Velveteen Dream, or a Lars Sullivan, or guys who have been on the main roster who absolutely have no direction. Finn Balor, guys like that, Elias, so on and so forth. You guys get the picture I'm trying to paint. I don't understand why we need a Queen of the Ring tournament just to add more bullshit to this otherwise nauseating fucking women's agenda, which right now is only the hottest thing in WWE because of Becky Lynch. Give me a break. The women have their own pay-per-view. The women have Evolution. It's given that name because of the direction you want to go with the women. So start evolving. Don't start adding on top of the Evolution when you didn't even do that right. The men need the King of the Ring tournament. It's too long now. It's too long that we've been without the King of the Ring. And the quality of the product that we see on a weekly basis, I'm telling you right now, would benefit from it immensely. I know this for a fucking fact. Shows would have meaning, and we would all be invested in watching 8 men from each brand, 4 and 4, 8 men spanning Raw and SmackDown compete in a tournament. And you build a whole fucking show around the 8-man tournament like you did in 1993. Tell me a story. Tell me someone, or give me someone, that is going to go from round 1 to round 3 and take me on that journey like you did Bret the Hitman Hart. That's what we want. Queen of the Ring, I can do without. The women have Evolution. Build on that. When you want to make something important like this happen, it needs to be for the men right in the middle of the pay-per-view calendar, because whatever's going on right now with these themed pay-per-views, Extreme Rules and TLC and Hell in a Cell and all this other fucking shit that you got, it is overdone and it's overstayed its welcome. I guarantee you everybody listening to me knows that the King of the Ring could be important, and you would much rather see something with that type of importance in the middle of the pay-per-view calendar, being the bridge between Mania and SummerSlam, to give not only the main roster television shows on Monday and Tuesday importance, but it would make SummerSlam that much more meaningful. That's all I have to say on that. I don't know what else you need me to say or what else you want me to say in regards to King of the Ring. But a Queen of the Ring tournament in 2019? No, I'll pass. I'll pass. The Mae Young Classic is doing very well with what we've been given. Now maybe you should start working on another Cruiserweight Classic or a Tag Team Classic, like I mentioned. Enhance and evolve the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. That's what you need to start doing. The women are set, led by Becky. So let's build on that and give me the King of the Ring back in 2019 instead of the Queen of the Ring. Off this shitty fucking product by coming on here and speaking the fucking goddamn truth about this fucking filth. And I can book a better show taking a fucking dump after eating my fucking Chipotle chorizo with extra cheese. I don't give a fuck what anybody has to say. Have I ever? Of course not. WWE is great, man. Fuck you, Japan, and Kenny Omega, Okada. Delete! What is it, man? Can I suck your dick? What is it, man? And this is the #1 fucking podcast right here on YouTube.com. This is off the script. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 251, part number 1 of Off the Script. It is Friday, December 7th, 2018. And I would like to congratulate Mr. Vincent Kennedy McMahon for the Guinness World Record of Monday Night Raw, beating their previous 3 records for the lowest TV ratings in the history of Monday Night Raw. The lowest TV ratings 4 times in a single calendar year. And I present Raw with the "If you don't like it, don't watch it" award. Mr. McMahon, the round of 4 Guinnesses is on me. I absolutely love it, man. I absolutely fucking love it. Good job, man. Good job, man. Love it. Hashtag get the pen away from Vince McMahon. I don't believe how people in this company will just brush this off as, WWE doesn't give a shit about the ratings. And then you'll have the fucking proverbial goon on social media. "Oh my God, JD is so negative, man. Why doesn't he like the show, man? Monday Night Raw's great, man. WWE's making billions of dollars, man." Really? Why don't you tell that to Fox next year? I guarantee the ratings will mean something next year when they hit Fox Sports, you fucking idiot. Here, let me see them accumulate a 1.69 rating. Like SmackDown did this past week. Fucking idiots. Yeah, I'm sure Fox is going to really like that. If they ain't getting 4s and 5s on Fox Sports, then there's no hope. There's no saving this company, man. And believe it or not, Vince McMahon showed up late to Monday Night Raw and rewrote the entire show himself because he didn't like what was going on. For another week in a row, our second week in a row, we have to read reports that Vince showed up late to Monday Night Raw and rewrote the entire fucking show by himself. And I don't know if you guys watched the XFL press conference where they unveiled all the 8 teams that are going to be competing in the league and what cities got these teams. I don't know if you've seen Vince McMahon on the podium. I'm looking at Vince during this press conference in which he maybe had 2 minutes at the podium just giving the stage to the CEO, Oliver Luck, I think his name is, of the XFL. And I'm looking at Vince. And I'm thinking, all I'm thinking about when I'm looking at him is like, this is the guy that's writing our show Monday night? He can barely fucking speak. The guy sounds like a fucking zombie. Get the pen away from this guy and give me my Monday Night Raw back again, man. Hashtag make Raw great again. I don't get it. Not only Raw, but SmackDown suffered one of the lowest ratings of their entire history this week. Now, if that doesn't bother someone in WWE, I don't know what will, man. But that's a damn fucking shame, because SmackDown was a good show. SmackDown was a damn good show. By WWE standards today, I'm not going to sit here and tell you it was one of the best SmackDowns I ever seen, but according to WWE standards and what we've been given this year, it was a pretty good show. But who the fuck knows it's a good show when you've pretty much disenfranchised everybody that's watched this show. You've alienated your fan base. So when a good show happens, who the fuck knows it's a good show? You drove all those fans away. WWE needs to start changing, man. I need to start changing. We got all the news reports on Raw, SmackDown. I got news on Becky Lynch. I got news on Nia Jax. I got a ton of news that we're going to go over today in episode 251. This is part number 1 of Off the Script for your Friday, December 7th, 2018, man. Thank you guys so very much for all your support this week. If you missed any of my other videos, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, I got some Call of Duty content, Spider-Man content, and WWE 2K19 Universe Mode Episode 1, where I am in charge of Monday Night Raw. This isn't some weird universe mode where you're going to be seeing a bunch of crazy shit. No, I'm taking the real life circumstances and I'm going to work my best with whatever the game gives me And whatever options I have within the game, I'm going to try my best to give you guys a Monday Night Raw that you can legitimately watch and enjoy. So that is up on the channel right now. Make sure you guys go check all that stuff out. Links will be in the annotation that you see in the top right corner of your screen. I want to thank everybody that has gone out of their way and purchased the new JD Club t-shirt. Now, you guys have legitimately 2 days left to get this because it was an 8-day campaign. This ends on December 9th. And if you guys want to be a part of the exclusive JD Club, you guys need to go to bonfire.com. I'm going to leave you guys a link down in the comment section, and I'm going to pin that bitch right at the very top with the link to go buy yourself a JD Club shirt. Now, I've partnered with bonfire.com, and they came to me and said, we love what you're doing. We love the audience that you've accumulated and built and the community that you built. We want to sponsor you for a new campaign for the holiday season. Do you have anything in mind? And I'm like, yes, I do. A lot of people missed out on the Team JD design. The one that I did in the same black and white and the gold foil one as well. Those were 2 designs that I loved so very much, and I'm like, how can I make it different to entice people to get a new shirt? I don't want to do the same thing 3 times in a row. So what I did is I made it, instead of Team JD, the JD Club with the same design. So if you guys missed out on both of those other campaigns, which were done through Teespring, I'm not working with Teespring anymore because they declined me on my And Roman is Still Not Over t-shirt. So we're not working with them anymore. I got no problems at all doing any of that stuff with bonfire.com if I want to, be adventurous and do that in the future. So if you guys missed out, I'm going to leave you guys a link down in the comments, pinned at the very top, man. We've gotten over 40 sold thus far. And I'm going to shout everybody out right now. It's going to take a little bit of time, but I want to acknowledge everybody that has purchased a t-shirt from me on Bonfire during this new campaign, man. So, reading off, the first one was Yusef. Thank you so much, brother. We got Kenneth. We got Laura, Miguel. We got Curtis, Daryl, Ray, Richard, Jeremy, Bradley, Michael, Justin, Billy. We have Cass. I don't know if that's Big Cass or not. Maybe he's part of the of Team JD. I don't know. He is from New York. Maybe he is. I don't know. But Cass, thank you so much, brother. Michael, Matt, Ramon, Jose, Shane, Matt. We also have Juan, Nicholas, Adam, Kurt A, Brandon times 4. Holy shit, brother. Thank you so very much. Ciara. We have Ezekiel, Joshua, Frank, Kevin, Caleb, Zacharias, and Caesar Enrique. Thank you so very much to everybody that has purchased a t-shirt, man. You guys are fucking beasts. Those are the only ones that I have in front of me right now who have ordered a t-shirt, and more keep coming in, man. So I will shout out the rest of you guys this weekend on Off the Script if you do indeed purchase a t-shirt from my new campaign, man. Thank you guys so very much for all of that. Harry's is the official sponsor of the podcast each and every week, man. Harrys.com/script. That is the unique URL that you guys are going to type into your browsers or your mobile devices, and you're going to explore the world of Harry's. What you guys are going to do, if you use our link, is you're going to get a free trial shave set. You're going to go through the sign-up process. You're going to enter your information. You're going to choose what color blade you want. You're going to get a blade, a handle, a protective case, and a generous bottle of 2 ounces. They're foaming shave gel, which soothes, hydrates, and it smells fantastic, man. I'm going to shave immediately after this podcast is over because I want a clean shave because I feel like a bum. And that's what Harry's does, man. It turns you into a bum, or from a bum into a rock star. Harry's is the best shave that I've ever had, and I've been using it for the majority of this year. I was first introduced to it this year from my dad. He uses it, my brother uses it, and I've been using it all year, man. They have 600 employees, scientists, chemists, men who are engineering and using the finest products, and they turned this into the best shave that you will ever have, man. Believe me, I don't put my name to anything unless I believe in it or if I use it. And Harry's is something that I use every single week, and I know you guys will do the same. All you have to do is pay the shipping and handling, and that will be delivered to your mailbox within a few days, man. Harrys.com/script. They're also offering you guys $5 off a holiday gift set, which we unboxed on episode 249. We unboxed the holiday gift set, and there's two versions. There's a $25 and a $35. If you use our link, you guys can also save $5 off one of those two versions for the holiday gift set, man. Harrys.com/script. Make sure you guys go and get your shave set today. Thank you so very much. Barbershop Window. Thank you guys so very much for ordering your t-shirts throughout the entire Black Friday sale, man. You guys are fucking beast. And I want to shout out some people. I promise you guys shout outs for Barbershop Window. So we're going to spread the shout outs throughout the show. And I want to shout out Billy, William, Jakari, Shane, Charles, Evie, John, Horace, Griffin, Levi, Derek, Christopher, Logan, Dane, Jonathan, Josephine, John, Daniel, Derek, Samantha, Dominique, Brandon, Danny, Hamit, Andrew, Luke, Craig Kelly, Jeremy, Matthew, William, Shane, John, Ramon, Anthony, Anwar, Michael, Sebastian, Jermaine, Alan, Leslie, Bobby, Austin, Jovan, and LaDamian times 4. I ran through all of them. Fuck giving shout outs throughout the show. I wanted to notify and shout out everybody right now, man. Those were all the sales for November during the Black Friday sale. You guys are absolutely fucking beast. And if you guys want to be a part of the Off the Script family, there's no better way than to get yourself a t-shirt, man. Barbershopwindow.com/offthescript. They, I believe, still have the Black Friday sale running, so you guys can save 35% off your purchase. Try it. I was notified that it's still working. So enter code Black Friday. If not, you guys can enter the original code BSHOP10 for 10% off all your purchases, man. 18 designs, the best t-shirts in the podcast game. Anywhere. These are designed by legit artists, man. Barbershopwindow.com/offthescript. Go and get your t-shirts today via Barbershop Window, the official online store of Off the Script. Thank you guys so very much for all that, man. Let's hit the news. I'm in a news-giving mood right now. We're going to start off with Becky Lynch. And then we'll seep into the Monday Night Raw stuff. But Becky Lynch is so hot. Becky Lynch is so big right now. You know, I honestly have people telling me that Becky Lynch is dying out. I don't know what the fuck you're watching, or I don't know if maybe you need your ears cleaned or your eyes checked, or maybe you're just a delusional fuck. I don't know who you are or what your way of thinking is. But Becky Lynch is as hot as ever. I don't understand why people are thinking, oh, Becky's dying out. Who? Where? When? How? Why do you think that? Don't understand it. But Becky Lynch, even though we had a great segment on SmackDown Live, it was my second favorite segment of the week. Obviously, number one goes to the greatest sports entertainer of all time, Tommaso Ciampa, where he was a puppet master, managing to get Johnny Gargano and Aleister Black in a steel cage. By the way, I don't look at spoilers, and I want to correct myself coming from the NXT review that I did on Wednesday. I do not look at spoilers, and this week, miraculously, nobody spoiled anything for me, so I went into this blind. I don't like looking at spoilers, because I know it's easy and it's tempting to look at spoilers. I don't, because I legitimately want to be shocked when something happens on NXT. So I didn't look at spoilers, and my first assumption was, and I said this on the podcast on Wednesday, I don't think Johnny's going to get a match with Aleister Black, because that was done and over with, that takeover. I honestly thought they were going to put Ciampa and Black inside the steel cage, And Johnny Gargano was going to help Tommaso Ciampa beat Aleister Black. Apparently this is not the case, because Gargano and Black are going inside the steel cage, and William Regal just announced on social media following the show that the TakeOver Phoenix main event is going to be Aleister Black versus Tommaso Ciampa for the NXT Championship. And if it's anything like their first match, take my money, bro. Love it. So NXT TakeOver Phoenix is already off to a rip-roaring start. But we're not here to talk about NXT. I just wanted to correct that. I don't look at spoilers for those people who think that I look at spoilers. I don't. I gave you what I would do, and I thought that's legitimately what they were going to do. And then it came out that Gargano and Black are in the steel cage. So there you go. Becky Lynch reportedly not cleared for a WWE return. A lot of people were asking, how come Becky Lynch didn't get involved with Asuka and Charlotte? She didn't get physical on SmackDown Live. A, she doesn't need to. She's the champ. She's the man. She can do whatever the fuck she wants. Why does she need to throw her weight around? She's the champ. You know, they want the champ. Asuka wants the champ. She already said, you beat Charlotte, but you never beat me. Asuka wants the champ. Charlotte wants the champ. The champ don't need to beat them. She's the champ. But she's still not cleared for a WWE return. Now, we all know how this happened. Nia Jax, Miss Botch Queen, she could join Brie Bella and Nikki Bella in the fucking bleachers. But she was pulled from Survivor Series after a severe concussion, broken nose. That resulted from Nia Jax's punch, which apparently is not a move she's doing anymore. And I'll touch on that in a bit. Now, it's a waiting game as to when we'll see Becky Lynch wrestle again. It was reported in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that Becky Lynch's concussion has been cleared, or hasn't been cleared. It hasn't been cleared, even though there were some reports that she has been cleared. The problem is still with her broken nose, and she hasn't been 100% cleared because of a nasal fracture. The good news is that while concussions are tough to determine a recovery time, a broken nose is much easier to estimate. Now, from the report, all they mentioned was that Becky Lynch was cleared. Then it came out this week that Becky Lynch wasn't cleared, so people were wondering, what is exactly holding her back? It's not the concussion. It's a nasal fracture, which obviously is good news. Oh, I mean, it's not really good news, but it's good news in the sense that it's not a concussion. She's cleared from the concussion. It's just the nose that's holding her back. Becky will wrestle with a broken nose or a fracture. She's not going to miss TLC. And I think WWE will put her in that situation to wrestle at TLC with a nasal fracture. I hope it doesn't get worse. And being that it's a TLC match, I really can't foresee her coming out, any worse or any better than she is now. So she's going to get hurt. And she's going to be in a world of hurt with the TLC match, because those women are going to try and steal the show, especially if it's in the main event. Now, it was noted that WWE expects Becky Lynch to be cleared from her broken nose within the next 10 days or so, which is cutting it very close to the TLC pay-per-view on December 16th. She is currently working with a limited clearance, which means she's allowed to be on television, but she's not getting physical just yet. So for everybody that wondered why Becky didn't get physical on SmackDown Live, even when she came down the aisle during the tag team match with Asuka and Charlotte against Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, there's the reason right there. Lynch is still scheduled to defend her SmackDown Women's Championship at TLC in a TLC match against Charlotte and Asuka. This will be the first ever women's TLC match, and Becky will have to defend her title against two challengers in Charlotte and Asuka. Perhaps the reason why the match was made into a triple threat match is that WWE needed a backup plan in case Lynch wasn't cleared in time, but that wasn't confirmed. But it appears that Becky will come around at TLC. So I think she will be there. Whether she retains the title or not, that remains to be seen. This is the WWE's perfect opportunity to take the title off Becky without having her get pinned, because I'm telling you right now, and we've mentioned this several times in the past already on this very podcast and on SmackDown Live Review and on Monday Night Raw Review and pretty much everywhere else that I talk wrestling, Becky cannot be pinned from here on till WrestleMania. Simple as that. I would rather WWE get the title on Charlotte. I would rather WWE get the title on Asuka, preferably Asuka. But WWE has two ways to go about this. Becky losing and the unpredictability of the TLC match, right? Right there. That's the one I'd go with. Or you put the title on Charlotte and Asuka. Now, if you put the title on Charlotte, that makes her match with Ronda a champion versus champion match, and then WWE has to devise a plan as to how to get Charlotte to challenge somebody from Monday Night Raw because of the brand split. Now, if they do that, I could see them doing that because that would clear the way for Becky to win the Royal Rumble and then challenge Ronda Rousey in the main event of WrestleMania. So I would guess Charlotte's going to get her match, and it's going to be of great importance because she's a champion as well, and it's going to be champion versus champion at the Royal Rumble. That's their way of giving to Charlotte with Ronda, and then Becky gets Ronda on the bigger stage, which needs to happen. Or if they go with that one as well, Asuka could still challenge Charlotte at WrestleMania, win the Elimination Chamber, challenge Charlotte, and get her win back and her revenge on Charlotte at WrestleMania for what happened this year. So maybe they could visit that as well. And a lot of people are speculating that Charlotte and Asuka could be the match at WrestleMania, with Asuka getting her revenge and the championship to make up for what happened this year and Charlotte beating the streak. That's what I would like to see. Or they could give it to Asuka and we could just have the same thing happen at WrestleMania next year like it did this year with Charlotte beating Asuka. But I don't want to see that again. I would rather Asuka have a nice lengthy run as champion because honestly, I think she's been booked like garbage, and I think you guys can utter the same sentiments as well. So that's what I think is going to happen there. WWE, if they want the best outcome here, Becky loses this match. Factors nothing into the outcome here. She falls off a ladder, through a table. Nia gets involved. Ronda gets involved. It's a big clusterfuck. Whatever the case may be, Becky is no longer champion. That would clear her up to win the Royal Rumble. And then you could put Becky and Nia Jax in the Royal Rumble as the final two participants, with Becky overcoming Nia Jax, getting that story squared away, and we are full steam ahead to Ronda and Becky at WrestleMania. Now, for all the fucking idiots out there who think Becky is dying or somehow not as popular as she was 3 months ago, you guys need to listen to this because this will shut you up in a matter of seconds. SmackDown Live Women's Champion Becky Lynch is the hottest thing in all of WWE. There is no doubt. And after this latest report, there's no doubt whatsoever, and there should be no doubt from anybody in the community. Becky Lynch's Royal Rumble VIP access sold out in 90 seconds. But she's not over anymore, or as much as she was just a couple of months ago, right? 90 seconds? 90 seconds! Before you blinked, they were gone. She goes on Twitter, and I quote, "They tell me that my Royal Rumble VIP access sold out in 90 seconds. I see and hear you all. All the t-shirts, the signs, the posts, the love. The man sees you all. They didn't expect us, but we are here." Good on you, Becky. Very proud of you. Now let's get her in the main event of WrestleMania. Speaking of Becky Lynch, the woman who started all this fucking nonsense, Nia Jax, kudos to WWE. I'll give him a little golf clap for, I guess, taking what happened as a devastating injury at the wrong time, the absolute wrong time, depriving us of a Ronda and Becky Lynch match at the Survivor Series. WWE turned all of this negative into a big positive. And it will continue to be positive as long as they follow the steps that are pretty much written for them. Now, Nia Jax. WWE possibly has Nia Jax not do the right hand, or they don't want Nia Jax throwing right hands anymore. Nia Jax has been bragging about being the face breaker since she injured Becky Lynch with one right hand during the go-home show on Raw before the Survivor Series. Lynch was pulled from her scheduled match against Ronda, and we all know the fans were not happy about that. Nia has been really playing off the heat from the botch punch, and that was the best direction for them to go in here with Nia. But WWE is apparently keeping her confined to a certain extent on what she's allowed to do in the ring. Now, I don't mind this at all because Nia Jax is fucking god-awful. After all, she can really hurt someone with her inexperience. Now, the Wrestling Observer newsletter states that it would appear WWE has taken away Nia Jax's right punch or right hand from her moveset. They might just be reserving her right hand punch for special situations, so when she does land it, the damage is amplified. For whatever reason, though, it's been missing from Nia Jax's routine since she injured Becky Lynch. Nia Jax has teased a head punch on television since Becky Lynch's injury, but she hasn't landed one since. It was noted that Jax has been hitting body blows anytime in her usual spots where she would normally throw a punch to the face. I don't think WWE is going to, suspend Nia Jax from doing a right-handed punch. I mean, it's one of the most basic fucking things you could do inside a wrestling ring. I want to give WWE the benefit of the doubt here, but I really don't know because Nia Jax is that fucking terrible. But I'm going to go out on a limb and state that WWE has taken Nia Jax's right hand and they've limited it to it for when it's needed. Because when she does it, it's going to bring people back to that fucking day, that night in which she broke Becky's face. And people are going to wonder, is the same thing going to happen to whomever she does it to? And I honestly would not have Nia Jax do it until the Royal Rumble. I would have Becky in an uncompromising position and Nia Jax laughing and she's readying up the punch and all of a sudden Becky blocks that motherfucker and then she kicks Nia's ass on her way to eliminating Nia Jax in the Royal Rumble. After that, that story's told, it's over, it's completed, it's seen its conclusion. Then Nia Jax can go back to punching whomever she wants. But until this point, just like we talked about, Becky cannot lose from here until WrestleMania, until she beats Ronda. I don't think WWE should have Nia Jax do any punches until that one moment where she has Becky in the ring. Now, I don't know how much faith we can have in WWE doing that, but the storyteller in me would absolutely make that move, and when it's the right position and the right situation, it's going to mean that much more. But WWE should be limiting more than just Nia Jax's right hand. They should be limiting Nia Jax, period, in the ring. God awful. Nobody wants to see Nia Jax at all in the ring, on the microphone. She's just cringe to look at. And she's clearly inexperienced. But I hope WWE is doing the right thing for the story in this situation, and they just didn't take Nia Jax's right hand away or a basic punch away because of her inexperience. Or they're afraid that she's going to do it to somebody else and break somebody else's face, legitimately. I hope it's for the sake of the story. Gotta have faith somewhere in this company. I'm putting the faith in this storyline, and that reason why WWE took Nia Jax's right hand away. Speaking of injuries, Alexa Bliss is in a bad situation right now. Her return status to WWE Raw is a bad situation. Bryan Alvarez revealed on Wrestling Observer Radio that he has been told Bliss is taking it much slower than Mark Henry on Busted Open Radio had led on. He also explained exactly what kind of bumps Bliss has been taking at the Performance Center as she trains for her eventual return. What I heard about Alexa Bliss, says Alvarez, is she will probably remain out until the Royal Rumble. Watch her wrestle next week, and then he starts laughing. But that's what I was told anyway, that she will probably remain out until the Royal Rumble. He goes on to say, and I quote, "The Performance Center has a bunch of rings, but one of the rings they've got, the entire ring is a crash pad. So when you hear that Alexa Bliss is taking light bumps and that sort of thing, she's not even bumping in a real ring right now. At least as of last week, she was taking bumps on a crash pad, and they were making sure she could bump on a crash pad without, I guess, ending up with vertigo." He noted that this is a bad situation where Bliss is concerned, and later confirmed that she has not been cleared for an in-ring return. Hopefully she will make it back to the ring soon. In the meantime, she will probably remain on Raw in a non-wrestling role on television, overseeing the Raw Women's Division, as WWE has her away from television during the week, getting back in the ring slowly but surely, taking baby steps to get back into ring shape and get cleared. So I'm going to say this. I'm not the biggest Alexa Bliss fan. I don't want to see anybody injured. Obviously, Alexa Bliss is a valuable asset to the Raw Women's division, but the division is the same whether she's there or not there. She's not burning buildings down with her wrestling ability. She's not bringing anybody to 5-star matches. I don't really care to see Alexa Bliss in the ring at all. She's not making the division better by being in the ring. You got Sasha, you got Bayley, you got Ember, you got Ruby Riott. If you haven't booked those women correctly, and we haven't seen barn burner matches with those women on Monday Night Raw, what the fuck do you expect to get out of Alexa Bliss? She's lucky to even be on television. But that's the way of the company. They find their favorites, and they cater to their favorites, and meanwhile, you see Sasha and Bayley in a cringe-like segment 2 weeks in a row on Monday Night Raw with absolutely no direction. They were pretty much spokeswomen for the test to see if the fans are wanting or not wanting women's tag team championships. They were crash test dummies on Monday Night Raw is what Bayley and Sasha Banks were. Meanwhile, Alexa Bliss is the overseer of the Raw Women's division. Meanwhile, she's an active WWE superstar. She's not retired. She's not giving up her in-ring career. You know? She's an active female wrestler on the Raw roster, and she's a GM. Baron Corbin is an active wrestler on the Raw roster, and he's a GM. This is the lack of direction on this show. Becky Lynch has been out. Let's make her the fucking co-GM of SmackDown Live. Bullshit. Alexa Bliss adds nothing to the Raw Women's division. Nothing. I don't understand why people are so bent out of shape. Alexa Bliss isn't on Monday Night Raw. Who cares? Are you watching Raw because of Bliss? No. Is the division better when she's a full-time performer? Slightly. But it makes no difference if Alexa is there or if she's not there. Drop the shit. Let her get better and have her come back to Monday Night Raw in one piece. Simple as that. It's a bad situation right now, and WWE clearly takes their concussion protocols very seriously. So I expect her to remain out until the Royal Rumble. There you go. She's not needed. The shows are piss poor right now. The worst they've ever been. I doubt if you bring her back, it's going to move the needle. Cut the shit. Speaking of Raw, Vince McMahon once again rewrote Raw at the last minute. Wow, this is news to me, said no one ever. Vince McMahon once again wrote Raw at the last minute, or rewrote Raw. Raw was a live broadcast, obviously on Monday night. Anything can happen during a live broadcast. This also applies to anything taking place behind the scenes, because in the end, it's Vince McMahon's show, and ultimately he has the ultimate say in what happens every Monday night. There's the root of your issue. There is the root of your issue. Dave Meltzer noted on Wrestling Observer Radio that plans for Raw needed to be changed this week at the last minute. I ask why. So Raw was written. Raw was written before Vince even got to the arena. If I'm a boss and I'm looking at that, I'm like, good job, guys. Nothing for me to do. Let me check this over. I like this. Good. We'll change this for a little bit. I like this. Good. You guys did a good job. Good job. Now, I would love to see the show that was written earlier in the day before Vince McMahon got to the arena. What the fuck did he change on Monday night that made the show equally as worse as the week before? Clearly, the man is losing his mind because the show that he booked on Monday night was almost the exact same on Monday night a week before that. So I don't know what the fuck he did, but apparently he rewrote the show again. Apparently he thought the worst Raw of all time, according to everybody in the community, was a good show and said, well, maybe the fans want to see the same thing again because they enjoyed it so much, as Monday Night Raw suffered the lowest rating in the history of its 25 years for a fourth time this year. Now, plans changed last minute. It was because Vince McMahon showed up late to the arena and arrived with a different philosophy in mind, considering the current climate after President George W. Bush's passing. So now we're rewriting show because President George Bush, rest in peace, passed away. What the fuck does that have to do with my wrestling show on Monday night? I don't give a shit who passed away. I don't give a shit who's alive. I don't care. Not when it comes to wrestling. Rest in peace. Thoughts and prayers to everybody in the family. But what the fuck does that have to do with me at home wanting a good wrestling show that makes sense and is logical? Dave Meltzer said, and I quote, "Last week, just like this week, Raw was completely written by Vince McMahon at the last minute. He didn't even show up till 3:30 because he was visiting with his mother." Okay. Good old Vince visiting his mom. How is she? Good? Good. So he got there at 3:30 Central Time. So the show would start at 7 p.m. Central Time. So he got there, and 3.5 hours before the show, and he shows up, and the basic gist of everything is that his feeling was that, I guess we're in Houston, Texas. President Bush just died, and people are going to be in a somber mood, so we're going to have to make everybody at the end of the night happy. He goes on to say, so that's why Finn Balor did what he did. He got to win his match. Ronda Rousey stood tall at the end of the show. He made whole-scale changes from the original script, and it was all for the sake of happiness. I was told, he says, that the babyfaces did much better because Vince felt they had to do it that night and just felt, he had to give the people a show that they would go home happy on because he just expected that those people were going through a tough time with with President Bush passing away. End quote. I don't know how anybody walked away from this show being happy. If you did, you might have some serious mental illness. How could you walk away from this show being happy when it's legitimately the same shit that we seen last week? I don't understand it. Now, it's hard to believe that Vince McMahon would pick last Monday to be concerned about making Raw a happy program, but that is apparently what happened. Meltzer said he didn't know if Dolph Ziggler defeating Drew McIntyre was one of the plans that changed, but it would fall in line with the more happiness aspect to a certain extent. Only time will tell what might cause Vince McMahon to change his mind next time. Hopefully, he will start thinking about the fans' happiness a little bit more. You're worried about everybody being somber about George Bush passing away. The fuck does that have to do with the terrible nature of this program? We accumulated 5,000 fucking likes on the tweet. For someone like me, who people consider irrelevant, that's a pretty big fucking number. Why don't you start listening to the fucking fans and doing what makes the fans happy? Nobody gives a shit about Ronda Rousey standing tall. Nobody gives a shit about Finn Balor beating Jinder Mahal. We want a program. That means Monday night is back. We want a show that lives up to the name, Raw. I don't give a fuck what you got going on in your personal life. Show is fucking garbage. And then, of course, I was right all along. People who shit on the show last week come back and say, well, Monday Night Raw, they put their best foot forward. If that is their best foot forward, you are a fucking idiot. That show was terrible. I had people texting me, they were falling asleep by 8:30. I had people at the end of the night texting me, this show was equally as terrible as last week. I know all about it. You ain't telling me nothing I haven't uttered about 16 fucking times through this 3 hours. Bullshit. Things need to change. When will Vince realize he is the problem? Take the pen away from the old man. Please. the future of this show hinders on it. Monday's Raw episode was the lowest in viewership ever for WWE. When Vince wants to rewrite the fucking show 2 weeks in a row, all by himself, when he's got 36 fucking employees as part of the creative team, the fuck are you paying them for? This week's show featured a main event of Ronda Rousey teaming with Ember Moon against Nia Jax and Tamina. And the show drew 2.285 million viewers. This number is down from the last week's show, 2.369 million viewers. This is the lowest Raw viewership of 2018 and the lowest in show history. The first hour drew 2.262 million viewers, 2.399 million in the second, and 3.196 in the third hour. Congratulations, WWE. Congratulations, WWE. I award you the Guinness World Record. Lowest TV ratings 4 times in a year. If you don't like it, don't watch it award. Goes to Monday Night Raw. And I still have people coming to me, even after the explanation on part 1 of last week's podcast, episode 250, that scathing rant, me explaining why I still watch this fucking program. And people are still asking me and telling me, well, if you don't like it, don't watch it. Okay, Mr. Accountant, or wannabe accountant, you internet fucking troll, you internet fucking clown. I won't watch the fucking show. I'll miss out on a fucking payday, and I'll just cater to everybody else and follow the fucking sheep. It gives me great pleasure shitting on this show every week. It really does. Then you got people like fucking Xavier Woods out here on social media explaining to everybody what's the difference between Monday Night Raw and NXT. Are you fucking kidding me? Oh my goodness. What's the difference between NXT and the main roster? Why does everybody get so bent out of shape when Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live go on? You're watching NXT, there's wrestling for everybody to enjoy. Making it about that the wrestlers are in there breaking their bodies and putting on a show for everybody, and everybody is entitled infants. Appreciate what we're doing in the ring. It's not about what you're doing in the ring. It's about the creative writing. It's about the guy signing your paychecks. He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Get the pen away from him. It's like an alcoholic who goes to fucking AA. Comes out of AA, right? He's sober. He's on a clean path. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to have your friend come out of AA, you're going to give him a fucking alcoholic beverage, and then he's going to fucking have his life ruined again? It's like Vince McMahon needs to go to wrestling AA. He needs to go to the wrestling version of AA. Get the fucking pen away from him. The guy is killing his show. I don't understand how many fucking times I gotta tell you, if this company injected, honestly, take those fucking syringes that you injected Dean Ambrose with, fucking inject that motherfucker into the NXT logo, pull out that gold fucking serum, and inject it into the fucking Red Raw logo. Yellow up that Red Raw logo. Little bit of NXT on this fucking show would go a long way. It would do wonders. I don't understand how you aren't modeling your shows a little bit after what NXT is doing. Honestly, if Vince watched NXT, maybe he would get the inspiration to write good fucking television. There's a reason why people don't complain about NXT. And there's a reason why people every fucking week complain about Monday Night Raw. Mr. Woods, Mr. PhD. Fuck out of here. Maybe all that pancake fucking batter went into your fucking eyes. You fucking clown. SmackDown Live was not immune to the disease that is terrible creative in WWE. SmackDown Live falls under 2 million viewers this week. Tuesday's episode of SmackDown Live, featuring AJ Styles defeating The Miz in the main event, only drew 1.948 million viewers. This number is the second lowest audience since moving to Tuesday nights, barely beating the 1.921 million number from election night back on November 8th, 2016. As noted earlier this week, Raw scored its lowest viewership of all time, garnering a 2.285 million viewer base. Declining viewership seems to be the trend with WWE lately. Makes you wonder how long this is going to go on before someone finally snaps the fuck out of it and says, well, enough of the lackluster bullshit, let's get back to work. And this wasn't even a bad show. SmackDown Live was not even a bad show. It was actually, by WWE standards, like I mentioned earlier in the show, a good SmackDown Live. Still, we don't see Almas. I don't know whether he I don't know whether he got deported back to Mexico or if he said, fuck this shit. I don't know. Still no Almas. Ty Dillinger's hurt. Rusev, Shinsuke Nakamura not being used. The club not being used. Sanity not being used. I don't understand it. All this talent that they're not using. SmackDown wasn't even that bad of a show. But when they put on a good show, if you give me 6 bad shows in a row, I'm going to use Raw as an example. If Monday Night Raw has been god-awful the majority of 2018, and they come back next week and give me the best Monday Night Raw in the last decade, is it going to matter to anybody? You've driven away so many fucking people with the shit writing and the shit creative. If you put on a good show, who the fuck is going to be there to watch it? Who's going to be there to want to watch that show? Nobody. They don't know a good show is happening because you drove them a fucking way already. WWE needs to put on great show after great show after great show. You could throw a little okay in there. Not to the point where it's fucking nauseating. Great show after great show after great show. Great show, great show, good. Great, 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 okay, great, great. You need to have a consistent basis of great shows. Why do people watch NXT every week and wait for it every week and want to see more of it every week after only an hour? A, it's only an hour. B, it's just good writing. They don't make you feel like an idiot. They never have a bad show. Never. I don't understand. I don't understand how this is not bothering them. And then you'll have the idiot on social media saying the ratings don't matter. All they care is about a certain demographic. I don't give a fuck what demographic you're aiming towards. Monday Night Raw has accumulated the lowest ratings 4 times in one single calendar year. That should be a fucking wake-up call. But I guess who gives a shit? The company's worth $7 billion. Fuck the fans. Fuck the fans. Vince McMahon unloads $22 million worth of WWE stock. I guess the XFL is a little bit more pricey than he anticipated. Vince McMahon has a lot of cash to go around, but apparently he needs more for something. With the XFL's revival coming in 2020, beginning the weekend of February 8th and 9th, McMahon, paying for the entire reboot, allegedly all by himself, he might be able to use some extra funds. For whatever reason, Vince McMahon just unloaded a huge chunk of WWE stock. According to the SEC filings, Vince McMahon sold $22,866,523.61 worth of WWE stock on November 30th. In total, he got rid of 306,000 shares of stock. This is a very interesting turn of events for McMahon, but he still has a load of stock left, but it might be a sign of how much money this new XFL league is going to end up really costing him. Of course, McMahon isn't the only high-level WWE exec to sell off a load of stock in recent months. Back when the stock was at its highest price, Kevin Dunn, amongst others, got rid of a truckload of wood. Kevin Dunn unloaded WWE stock as well. Good for you guys. Good for you guys. I guess that's all that matters, right? Guess that's all that matters. Fuck the company. Fuck the shows. It's about unloading stock. There you go. Or maybe Vince McMahon realizes that this company is a sinking fucking pile of shit, and he needs to bank out. He needs to cash out. Nah, I doubt that's it. It's probably towards the XFL. It's probably towards the XFL, which he supposedly is using all of his own resources away from WWE, but obviously that was proven to be false. During the press conference, WWE was using visuals, and it was made known to the public that WWE is using WWE personnel to make their XFL logos and everything on the screen all pretty. So they're using WWE executives and employees, or talent, personnel, to, I guess, get across what they want with the XFL via promotion. So Vince is paying probably more, or giving these people extra work, and hopefully that is coming with extra pay to get the XFL ready in the early stages. But he unloads $22 million worth of stock. Good for him. Good for him. WWE likely to introduce women's tag team titles very, very soon. And this was made very, very clear on Monday Night Raw with Sasha Banks and Bayley. Dave Meltzer spoke about Bayley's blatant reference to the new titles during Wrestling Observer Radio. He proposed the idea that WWE obviously has something up their sleeve planned to introduce new titles sooner rather than later, especially seeing how Bayley, she said she wanted them during the totally scripted segment on the show of this week's Raw. Now, all those questions, those cringe-like fucking questions came from the audience. They were clearly plants. They were revealed to be students from Booker T's school, wrestling school down in Houston, Texas. Now, one thing he says, Meltzer says, and I quote, one thing that was significant is that they mentioned the Women's Tag Team Championships. We know that they're going to do it, but it tells you that they're going to do it pretty quick because they wouldn't be mentioning it if it wasn't happening pretty soon, end quote. Now, Women's Tag Team Championships have been rumored for quite a little bit now. Stephanie McMahon was reportedly planning on making the announcement at Evolution, but nothing was said on the show about it. Now, with Bayley mentioning those titles on Raw just this past Monday, it seems to really open up the door to make this a reality. Now, as noted in the live results of the show, the mention of this new set of titles didn't bring much of a pop from the Houston crowd, but the open forum segment might have killed anything as far as excitement goes, because the fans' questions were so incredibly lame that the crowd responded to those lame questions instead of listening to what Bayley and Sasha Banks had to say in the ring. This is why WWE should get people with fucking charisma. I'm not saying put real life fucking people in there, because God knows what they'd say. Sasha, I think you have a nice ass. Can you bend over for me, honey? You know? Nobody wants to fucking risk that type of shit being said. But after WWE reveals these new titles, we can then deal with the even more interesting question of whether WWE will let the Women's Tag Team Champions float around the various WWE brands, or whether they will have a new set of titles on each show. No, that is the absolute worst thing to do. We don't need two sets of titles on Raw and SmackDown because there's just not enough women. There's not enough women. Not enough women. So what you're going to do here is you're going to start by having floating champions. They could show up on SmackDown Live. They could show up on Raw. They could show up in NXT. Or probably not, but they'll probably have NXT talent show up on Raw or SmackDown. I would love to see Sasha and Bayley back in NXT. I think that would make for a really great little fun stint, but I don't think WWE will allow them to do that. I honestly think we'll see some NXT talent get called up, whether it's a one-off or if they start an angle somewhere. Maybe this could be the beginnings of a little invasion. Maybe we see two women from NXT. Just show up randomly on Monday Night Raw and just fucking attack Sasha and Bayley, for example, if they're tag team champions. But there needs to be floating championships. That's the only way this is going to work. One set of titles for the 3 different shows, okay? Now, if that happens, I pray to God that this is the beginning of, well, maybe if we have one set of women's tag team champions, maybe we could do the same with the men. Because if you look at the tag team divisions on Monday Night Raw, it is pretty much a fucking bone-dry, heat-inducing fucking sweat-fest desert. Nothing. There's nothing. It's bone-dry. Bone-dry on Raw. You got AOPP, you got Gable and Rude, and you got the Revival. And then you got Lucha House Party. Doesn't really make up a division. It's not really what I call an exciting division. On SmackDown Live, you got the Bar, you got the Usos, and you got the New Day. It's not really what I call an exciting division. Now, if you merge those 7 teams, and you include a few teams from SmackDown that you're not using, the Sanity and the Club, that's 8 and 9, and you include the Ascension, that's 10, you got a fucking division. You can feature 2 tag team matches on Monday Night Raw, 2 tag team matches on SmackDown Live, and you can get some competitive fucking tag team action. This is what I would do. I don't know why WWE doesn't explore that option now. I don't know why we need to introduce women's tag team championships for there to be floating championships from brand to brand. You know, if I'm making a decision, I'm not even booking women's tag team championships. They're not needed. They're not needed. But maybe they are, because the fucking women's divisions on both shows are handcuffed by Ronda, Becky, and Charlotte. And Raw has been handcuffed by Ronda. At least we got Charlotte and Becky giving us nice storyline-driven angles on SmackDown Live. I don't think the tag team titles are needed. WWE's gonna fuck this up. They're gonna fuck it up. I don't put it past them to fuck this up. We'll see what happens. But I'm telling you right now, if Sasha and Bayley aren't the tag team champions on that show and crown the inaugural champions against Trish and Lita at WrestleMania, then you're doing it all wrong. Bayley mentioned it. They better be the fucking ones to hold those titles first and foremost. Then we'll see what happens with them after that. But I have a feeling it will be a waste of fucking time. A waste of fucking time. What is not a waste of time is following me on social media, man. It's always a good time on Twitter. At JD from NY206. Hit that subscribe button down below and turn on that bell for all notifications, man. That's what I want you to do most. Hit that bell. Turn on all notifications. Make sure you guys are prepared to get all my uploads delivered to your subscription boxes right here on YouTube.com. And if that doesn't work, follow me on Twitter as a backup, because everything that I upload to the channel gets pushed directly within seconds to Twitter. So when you open up your Twitter page during the day and you see that I tweeted out, oh, look, JD uploaded off the script. Now I know, and now I'm notified. Boom. There you go. So one or the other, man. Follow me on Twitter regardless, because I'm tweeting during Raw and SmackDown and sometimes NXT, and then the pay-per-views on Sunday night during the month. So follow me on Twitter, at JD from NY206. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. And if you guys want to follow me on Patreon, patreon.com/JD from NY206. I'm thinking about it. I got to find something that I really, really, really want to pick up. But I'm thinking about adding exclusive beer vlogs to my Patreon page. So if you guys want to go check that out, patreon.com/JD from NY206. Thank you guys so very much for all that. Let's continue on with the podcast. Kurt Angle possibly being set up for a WWE return as part of a major feud. Man, you could see me gleaming with excitement. Dave Meltzer discussed how Baron Corbin presented Drew McIntyre with a gold medal on Monday Night Raw during Wrestling Observer Radio, and how this could have been a big clue of Angle's future opponent. He says, and I quote, "So Angle is coming back now against Drew?" I say that's the impression I got, was that Angle was going to come back and get McIntyre. End quote. Mr. Meltzer, I hope you are wrong. McIntyre sent Angle along his way a few weeks ago on Raw, and we haven't seen Angle since. To make matters worse for Kurt Angle, he lost after McIntyre hit an Angle slam and locked in the ankle lock as well, which caused Angle to tap out. Since then, Kurt Angle has been enjoying even more of a vacation. And please, take as much time as you need. You're not wanted. I don't really care to see you. And Monday Night Raw isn't really the most hospitable at the moment. It will be interesting to see when WWE might book Angle versus McIntyre. I hope it's never. But it would be, or it wouldn't be, according to this source. I don't know who the fuck wrote this. They say it wouldn't be the worst WrestleMania match ever, especially if they're already laying the groundwork. You can come up with something better for McIntyre at WrestleMania, and Angle doesn't need to be at WrestleMania. It's not really what I want out of my WrestleMania. A 50-year-old, decrepit, broken down shell of a fucking man who can't even go 8 minutes anymore. Come on. Sure, you can come up with something a little bit more better for Drew McIntyre, a guy that you are putting a lot of stock in. The week following Kurt Angle's defeat, Drew McIntyre did rub some salt in his wounds, but he hasn't been mentioned since. The new angle of Baron Corbin presenting Drew McIntyre with a gold medal is interesting, seeing how Corbin and Angle seem primed to battle over the Raw General Manager position. But now it seems like McIntyre might be a more logical opponent for Angle, but considering WWE's plan to push Drew McIntyre up the roster, it might not end up too well for Mr. Kurt Angle. You know, if you want to set up Kurt Angle for a major feud, listen, I don't know what Braun Strowman's status is right now. WWE could possibly be setting up Strowman to be at TLC and end his feud with Baron Corbin with one power slam. I don't know if WWE is going to compromise Braun Strowman's rehabilitation for something so worthless. So obviously, I hope they have a plan B or a plan C. Plan B could be Kurt Angle. Braun Strowman could say, listen, I can't make it there, but I have a worthy replacement. And Angle can go into the match and beat Corbin, and Corbin can still go through whatever he was going to end up going through with Strowman, but be beaten by Kurt Angle. He could be out as GM, we could have a new GM, Angle could be back on TV, and there you go. I would much rather have that happen than put Alexa Bliss in the rumored role of GM of the entire show. She's an active wrestler. Her priority should be getting back to wrestling in-ring shape, not GMing Monday Night Raw. I would much rather have Angle than fucking Baron Corbin. That could be plan B. Or plan C could be what we talked about last weekend with Bray Wyatt. Braun Strowman could do the same thing and say, I have a replacement. I can't be there. I'll be at ringside, but I have a replacement. Bray Wyatt. There you go. As far as Kurt Angle being on television, a part of a major feud, especially at WrestleMania, nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see that. And McIntyre does not need a WrestleMania match against Kurt Angle. You could do something much better with Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. Fuck out of here, man. Guy should be a champion on this show. Speaking of McIntyre, WWE's plan for Drew McIntyre following the split from Dolph Ziggler. Dave Meltzer discussed this story on Wrestling Observer Radio, where he revealed that apparently everything is going to plan in regards to McIntyre's future on Raw. He's in line for a great push up the roster as a single star, but unfortunately it might not be the best news for Dolph Ziggler. This comes as no surprise to anybody listening to this show or who watches the show every single week. We all knew Ziggler was going to be the shit man out in this duo of Ziggler and McIntyre. He says, and I quote, "It's like they're going to pull the trigger on McIntyre. It's just a question of when this was going to happen. Unfortunately, even though Ziggler won that match, he's looking like he's going to be ... I could fill in the blank for you, Meltzer. It's going to be up Shit's Creek. Shit out of luck. It ain't going to be as bad as Aiden English, he says, but you know what I'm saying." End quote. He goes on to continue and say, he's going to be fading down and McIntyre is going to be going up, and that's how it was always going to be since day one, that they used Ziggler, and kind of like how the story was. They used Ziggler his role was to be there. they could dominate the tag team scene and they're going to break McIntyre into a singles guy, a top guy, and it's worked. Everything's been exactly like they wanted it to be. It came out of nowhere, but it was always there. Now, Ziggler's new deal with the WWE is another thing that people are talking about. Apparently, Dolph Ziggler could be working with a very unique WWE contract. He's still around, so obviously he has some sort of agreement with WWE. But according to Mike Johnson of PW Insider Elite Audio, Ziggler appears to be sticking around by how he's being used on television. But Johnson hasn't heard an actual deal has been signed. He says, and I quote, Dolph Ziggler, it would appear he signed a new deal based on how he's being used. But we've never heard that 100% that he put ink to paper or pen to paper anyway. Mick Foley worked his entire stint as Raw General Manager with a handshake deal. If Ziggler is doing the same by simply agreeing to continue his work with WWE without actually having a contract, that would be interesting. But it looks like whatever kind of deal WWE and Dolph Ziggler have worked out, it's good enough to keep him on television and on the road while he can still do as much stand-up comedy as he pleases on the side. I don't know if I believe in that story whatsoever. If you're working for the WWE, especially now in the current climate of independent wrestling, where Ziggler could leave WWE and become one of the biggest fucking guys on the indies within days. WWE signed this guy to a fucking contract. It's none of our business. All we heard about Daniel Bryan is, oh, he's going to sign a new deal, he's going to sign a new deal. We don't know the deals of Daniel Bryan. We don't know the deals of Brock Lesnar. WWE's keeping that hush, hush, hush. So I expect the same for Dolph Ziggler. Is Ziggler being paid handsomely? Probably. Is that the reason why Ziggler stayed? Probably. Comfort. Knowing that he's going to have a guaranteed pay and WWE is going to allow him to do whatever the fuck he wants on the side. And being with family and friends, co-workers, colleagues, you know, that might have been difficult for him to walk away from. But I don't like hearing that Ziggler was pretty much just used. Now, we all knew it was going to end up that way, but the guy's too good for that. He was pretty much used as a pawn in this entire situation. You know, WWE could really make McIntyre into something big, but that doesn't mean you have to shit all over Dolph Ziggler. You know, they're in a current state on Monday Night Raw where they can't be diminishing guys like that and making them into nobodies. Ziggler got a big win over McIntyre due to outside interference from Finn Balor on Monday Night Raw. Maybe they should build upon that. Maybe they should turn Ziggler into a credible fucking babyface without burying the fucking guy like you're usually doing year in and year out. This show cannot waste away talent. They don't have any to begin with. Everybody should be on the same fucking level when it comes to the main event scene. I'm not saying Ziggler's going to be in the main event scene, but I don't want to see him against fucking Seth Rollins for the Intercontinental Championship again either. Maybe he doesn't even belong on Monday Night Raw. In fact, if I'm Dolph Ziggler, I don't even know why the fuck he signed the contract with WWE anyway. Can make just as much money on the independent scene, make your own schedule, sell your own merchandise, and get most of that money in revenue and profit. Like I said, make your own schedule, wrestle some of the biggest names that you know you could go toe-to-toe with on any given day. Make yourself look good, not only in front of the fans, gain new eyes to what you're bringing to the table, gain respect from the company that seemingly doesn't give a shit about you. Same thing is said about Ziggler every single fucking time. Do I believe this story from Mike Johnson? I don't know. He's been wrong in the past, but I don't doubt. I do not doubt Ziggler is signed to some sort of contract and pen has hit paper. Because if that's the case, if I start seeing my Monday Night Raw status dip to fucking bottom of the barrel Apollo Crews-like levels, then I'm out. And there's nothing that WWE can do about that. And I don't think WWE is going to risk Dolph Ziggler going to the independents because he's a guy that you could certainly build all elite wrestling around. And you know that they're afraid of competition right now. Don't believe the fucking idiots on social media. They're afraid. Very much so. Ember Moon. Let's talk about Ember Moon. Ember Moon's husband does not, like Nia Jax, does the good old delete or tweet and delete, calls Nia Jax an unsafe worker and a moron. Man, I wonder what got into his fucking Wheaties that morning. Let me eat my cereal. Yeah, we're gonna, my wife is on Monday Night Raw, and we're gonna talk shit about Nia Jax. Some representation you got there, Miss Moon. Nia Jax developed quite the reputation for being reckless in the ring. She injured Becky Lynch with one straight punch and cost the Survivor Series match with Ronda Rousey to go up in smoke. We all know that. Now, recently, Nia Jax competed in a tag team match against Ember Moon, teaming with Ronda Rousey. Obviously, Tamina was Nia Jax's partner. And we had all of this just happen on Monday Night Raw. Matthew Palmer, Ember Moon's husband, who's also an indie wrestler in his own right, don't know where he works out of, but apparently he's an indie wrestler, tweeted out a concern he had when Moon was announced as Natalya's replacement on Raw this week. He says, and I quote, "Hope this unsafe moron doesn't hurt my wife again," Palmer tweeted out. He then later deleted the tweet. The good old tweet and delete. We all done it. We've all done it in the past. And here, Ember Moon's husband made himself look like a fucking fool. Moon was victorious. I wouldn't doubt, by the way, that people utter the same things, but nobody in the WWE can actually say that on social media without some sort of repercussions. Ember Moon's husband, he don't work for the WWE, he could say whatever the fuck he wants, but he deleted it, I'm sure, out of respect for his wife. Moon was victorious in her tag team match with Ronda Rousey against Nia Jax and Tamina Snuka on Raw. Thankfully, nobody was hurt, and Ronda Rousey had Tamina tap out from the arm bar. Nia Jax is unsafe and a moron. That's the basis of everybody's feeling. Right there. Tweet and delete. Rhino. His current status on WWE after being fired on Raw. Nobody understood what the fuck was going on. Like, all of a sudden, oh, here's Heath Slater and Rhino. Oh, they're going to be put in a match. But Baron Corbin says it's going to be together because I don't have enough room on Monday Night Raw for both of you. That's the excuse that they gave me. Instead of using these guys in a prominent tag team role, we're going to put you on Raw, but I don't have enough room for both of you. Only one. So, Rhino is a pro wrestler for 2 decades now. And he was in a match with Heath Slater on Monday Night Raw. First ever SmackDown Live Tag Team Champions. They were actually very over when the draft back in 2016 happened. For whatever reason, fans just took to them. Great Cinderella babyface underdog team. You know, that whole I got kids deal. It worked. It didn't come off as cheesy. It worked. And then they got drafted to Raw and goodbye. Goodbye. The wasteland. The dumpster known as Monday Night Raw. Where all talents go to fucking die. There's no palm trees and there's no fucking pina coladas on this fucking exclusive beach. This is a landfill, steaming pile of fucking garbage where you go to fucking rot. Monday Night Raw. Now, Slater was victorious on Monday Night Raw. Rhino was fired. They didn't want it to end like this for obvious reasons, and Slater is heartbroken over how it all went down. It appears that for whatever reason, Rhino is no longer employed by Raw, except that he might not be fully, or that might not be fully the case. PW Insider noted that although Rhino was fired on television, he is still booked for Raw house shows. He is on the upcoming tour, which will see them flying to Chile this week, and then Argentina after that. However, those dates might simply be commitments Rhino must fulfill before actually leaving. At this point, we're unsure what's going on with Rhino's contract status, and Dave Meltzer noted on Wrestling Observer Radio that he will have to check because he hasn't been told what is going on either. I do believe that it did come out that Rhino is going to retire from pro wrestling. So he is done with pro wrestling, and that's why they did what they did. And those dates, which I'm assuming happen this weekend, is going to be something that Rhino has to fulfill on his current contract. And then after that, he's done. So that's that. You know, WWE cannot risk... Well, I don't really know what the fuck they're doing, but they should be utilizing guys like this, and they should have been building guys like this up, especially in the tag team format on this show where there's no tag teams to begin with. Instead of wasting these guys away for 10 fucking months, 11 months, 12 months, nobody gives a fuck about them after that time. They're dead, ice cold. They should have been a staple in the tag team division. Instead of giving me the same fucking match. We've seen Lucha House Party in the Revival 3 fucking weeks in a row. The Ascension before that with Bobby Roode and Chad Gable 7 weeks in a row. And this is a show. Guinness World Record. Guinness World Record about breaking their rating slump 4 times in one single calendar year. So I believe Rhino is on his way out as a pro wrestler, and that was what they did. They turned Heath Slater into a fucking referee. Baron Corbin's like, well, you get to keep your job, but I didn't say you could be an active in-ring performer. I got a new job for you. You're going to be a referee. Hands him a referee shirt. So Monday Night Raw, the land of where pro wrestlers, active wrestlers are GMs and assistant GMs, and where pro wrestlers become referees. They do everything but wrestle on Monday Night Raw. Now, I'm not saying that this is something that couldn't be interesting. This could certainly be interesting. Could be a lot of fun if Heath Slater plays into some sort of storyline here. You know, maybe he's the one to count Baron Corbin's shoulder down to the mat when he gets fired from the GM position. I don't know. But do you have faith in WWE following up on this storyline, or is this something that they just merely filled a segment on television for? I have no faith in whatever Monday Night Raw does. Not at all. And there's no reason why you should either. Finally, guys, we're going to end with this. WWE likely planning to end Ronda Rousey's undefeated streak. They did it to Asuka. Ronda Rousey shouldn't be immune to it. So, we had this discussed on the Wrestling Observer Radio, where WWE really doesn't like undefeated streaks. They ended Asuka's. They ended Drew McIntyre's. He wasn't pinned on the main roster ever since coming up from NXT. He lost to Dolph Ziggler this week. WWE could be doing the same thing for Ronda Rousey when her time has come. Meltzer says, and I quote, "They like to make sure that nobody has unbeaten streaks or anything like that. They tried to get rid of those. I'm trying to figure out how they're going to get rid of Ronda Rousey's. I think they're sitting here plotting. God," he says, "I hope it's not Nia Jax. Don't worry, Dave. They can't be that fucking stupid." Now, only time will tell how WWE ends up getting rid of Ronda Rousey's undefeated streak, but they could just pull a Goldberg and let Tamina Snuka hit her with a cattle prod at TLC. It would be an insane moment to draw heat and also give WWE a lot more options when booking Ronda Rousey's proposed WrestleMania match, where her 2 most likely opponents are on a different brand. No, dumbass fucking dirt sheet, Becky Lynch. But whatever is going to happen, they will book someone to take down Ronda Rousey. Yes, and that woman is Becky Lynch. The man is going to beat Becky, or is going to beat Ronda Rousey, and that individual is Becky Lynch. So that's what's going to happen there, and that's what should happen via this story. But it makes you wonder, man. Bianca Belair is undefeated. Keep her down in NXT. Otherwise, when Vince sees that she has a nice big fat 0 on her fucking record, goodbye, Miss Bianca Belair. You'll be fed to fucking Dana Brooke, and then that will go up in a puff of smoke. I'm getting out of here. Just like this show is going up in a puff of smoke. I'm out of here. Thank you guys so very much for another great episode of Off the Script. Make sure you guys go and check out everything you need to support the podcast, man. JD Club, link for Bonfire's campaign of this shirt down in the comment section, pinned at the very top. Go and get it. Whoever buys from this point on through when the campaign ends, you will get shout-outs here on Off the Script. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. Patreon.com/JD from NY206 with possible beer vlogs coming very, very, very soon. Make sure you guys go check out Harry's.com/script, barbershopwindow.com/offthescript. Try code Black Friday. You guys might still be able to save 35% off. If not, code BSHOP10 for 10% off all your purchases on Barbershop Window. And please show some love to Audible, man. Audible's been a fine sponsor of the show, as always, for almost 2 years now. Audibletrial.com/offthescript. Go and get your free trial of their service. 30 days free. And that includes 1 free audio book. You guys have over 200,000 choices to choose from. A lot of those are wrestling related, man. All you need to do is download the app, via iPhone or Android devices. Sign up. And if you guys don't like the service, within those 30 days, you can cancel at any time and still keep your audiobook for free. audibletrial.com/offthescript. I'll be back tomorrow with more news and rumors right here on part 2 of Off the Script. We are going to talk about Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. When are their contracts really up with WWE? Chris Jericho, seen with Impact executives. What does this mean for Chris Jericho's future here in the United States with another rival promotion? WWE eyeing Shane Strickland, the Swerve. Shane Strickland possibly coming to WWE, but there is one minor holdup on bringing him into NXT, and there is a reason why WWE is frustrating the indie scene and why they reportedly stopped caring about contract tampering with one New Japan Pro Wrestling talent that they are weirdly eyeing, and they want him for their expansion in their global takeover. Who is it? We'll talk about it tomorrow right here on Off the Script. Thank you guys so very much. Hit that thumbs up, and I'll see you right back here on Saturday morning for part 2 of Off the Script. I'll talk to you later.